Menominee mᵻഃnʒmᵻniः is an Algonquian language originally spoken by the Menominee people of northern Wisconsin and Michigan. It is still spoken on the Menominee Nation lands in northern Wisconsin in the United States. The name of the tribe, and the language, Omāēqnomenew, comes from the word for wild rice, which was a staple of this tribe's diet for millennia. This designation for them is also used by the Anishinaabe, their Algonquian neighbors to the north. The main characteristics of Menominee, as compared to other Algonquian languages, are its heavy use of the low front vowel a, its rich negation morphology, and its lexicon. Some scholars have classified it as a Central Algonquin language based on its phonology. For good sources of information on both the Menominee and the language, some valuable resources include Leonard Bloomfield's 1928 bilingual text collection, his 1962 grammar, and Skinner's earlier anthropological work, Usage and Revitalization Efforts. Menominee is a highly endangered language, with only a handful of fluent speakers left. According to a 1997 report by the Menominee Historic Preservation Office, 39 people spoke Menominee as the first language, all of whom were elderly. 26 spoke it as the second language, and 65 others had learned some of it for the purpose of understanding the language, and/or teaching it to others. The Menominee Language and AMP Culture Commission has been established by the Menominee Nation to promote the continued use of the language. Residents of the Menominee Reservation at mᵻഃnʒmᵻniः have held intensive classes for adult learners, and have worked with linguists from the University of Wisconsin-Madison to document the language and to develop curriculum and learning materials. In 1977, Menominee High School, founded when the Indians of the Menominee Reservation separated from the Shawano-Gresham School District to open their own district, began to offer Menominee language, drumming, and tribal dance in addition to its academic program. Classes in the Menominee language are available locally at the preschool, high school, and adult levels, and at the College of Menominee Nation and University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. In 2012, the Catholic Diocese of Green Bay issued an apology to a 7th grader who was punished after using her native Menominee language in the classroom in Shawano, Wisconsin. As of 2013, there are 6 or 7 people able to be conversational in the language, according to an article on the Menominee Place Names Map, a collaborative project at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Phonology. Below are the basic phonemes of Menominee represented in IPA. Characters to the left the standard way in which the sound is written. Characters to the right are IPA. Vowels long a or is labialized if the preceding syllable contains a back vowel or when it is followed by a palatalized consonant. The same is true for e. Short a is particularly open when found before h and q. O is consistently lengthened before with. Iowa and ua are treated like long vowels in the assignment of stress. They contrast with ya and wa. For example, uah is distinct from wah. Final, with after I, becomes primarily bilabial. The syllable wa can alternate with o for some speakers. Vowels are slightly nasalized before or after p, meter, or n. Consonants t is postdental. The unvoiced sibilant per second can range between and, per hour, and do not appear initially, except sometimes as the on-glide of a vowel, in which case they should probably not be considered phonemic. Final per hour after I is sometimes dropped and sometimes replaced with j, as in pih. Consonants, including nasals, are palatalized before front vowels and labialized before back vowels. Menominee does not make contrasts between voiced and voiceless stops, and voicing from a following vowel may set in before the opening is complete. Syllable structure and stress. Syllable structure in Menominee is typically VC. Syllables do not end in vowels. Any consonant can begin or end a syllable except H and Q. The only clusters which can occur at the end of a syllable are QC and QS. The only cluster which can begin a syllable is KW. Primary stress occurs on every long vowel or diphthong that is in the next to last syllable of a word. Most compounds and inflected forms are treated as single words in assigning stress. Rhetorical stress comes on the last syllable. Pitch in an interrogative sentence which uses a question word. There is a rising and then falling of pitch near the beginning and a drop at the end. In yes/no questions, there is a sharp rise in pitch at the end of the sentence. The modulations of pitch for expressing exclamations, quotations, etc. is generally much more pronounced in Menominee than in English. Morphology. Nouns exist in two classes, animate and inanimate, which are marked in the plural inflection. Animate nouns take the plural ending a. Inanimate nouns take the plural ending an. Gender is also marked in referential inflection, such as in verb inflection, which marks the gender of the actor. There are four personal prefixes used to modify nouns and impersonal pronouns: first person, n; second person, k; third person, o; indefinite, m. Certain nouns occur only in possessed forms, typically referring to body parts or relatives, such as Omāēqnomenew, son, keze, t, your foot, me's t, someone's foot. These affixes are used to indicate possession. They are also used in the inflection of verbs to indicate the actor. The personal pronouns formed by these prefixes are as follows: first person singular, nana first person exclusive, nanak first person inclusive, kenak second person singular, kene second person plural, kenuak third person singular, wenaf third person plural. Wenuak nouns and nearly all pronouns are inflected for singular and plural. Some nouns occur only as singulars, typically denoting liquids or other uncountable substances. The singular is often used for a representative meaning, e.g., Sespi mᵻഃnεmᵻniः, the way the Menominee lives. Nouns can also be inflected for locality. Wikium, house, wikiume, in a house, this, est right here. Diminutives can be formed from any noun by suffixing aeshs. Agent nouns are homonymous with the third person inflected verb. So, anokw, he works or worker, mᵻഃkotausow, he whittles or carpenter. Syntax. Menominee displays inflectional reference. Nouns, verbs, and objects are inflected to agree in gender, person, and number of the possessor, actor, or transitive verb, respectively. Intransitive verbs typically occur in two forms, one for animate actors, the other for inanimate actors. Par phcen, he falls, par phnn, it falls. Transitive verbs can be used with either animate or inanimate actors. Transitive verbs contain inflectional reference both to the subject and to the object. One form of the verb exists for animate objects and another for inanimate objects. Koqnw, he fears him. Coctum, he fears it. Impersonal verbs occur with no identifiable actor and in the singular inflection kqsiw, it is cold. Chem1, it is raining. The negator can typically precedes the verb can, it is not raining. The negator also inflects for certain elements of modal inflection, kasik on, why, it isn't raining anymore. Quote, it can be used alone to answer a yes/no question. The particle poen is used to negate imperatives. Poen kaza say, don't be too late. Bloomfield distinguishes 5 modes of the verb in Menominee, which are reflected in the verb, negator, personal and demonstrative pronouns, and auxiliary verbs. Indicative by W, he comes. The indicative makes statements in the first-person plural. It is used as a hortatory first-person plural imperative can or mᵻᵉ. Let's set out. Quotative. Hi. When it is said that he comes. The quotative typically ends in n, is used when the speaker is stating something learned from another person or from a dream or vision. It is the mode used in traditional narrative. Interrogative by Q. Is he coming? The interrogative is used for yes-no questions. Present. Piasa. So he is coming. The present mode, typically ending in esasr, puts an emphasis on the fact that the event is taking place in the present, as opposed to the past, or in contrast with expectation. Preterite. Piapa. He did formerly come. The preterite, typically ending in epapar, puts an emphasis on the fact that the event took place in the past, as opposed to in the present or in contrast with expectation. Language family. Menominee is an Algonquian language, part of the larger family of Algic languages. Goddard and Mithun classify it with the Central and Plains Algonquian languages, along with languages like Blackfoot, Arapaho, Cheyenne, Cree-Montagnais, and Eastern Great Lakes languages like Ojibwe. In his more controversial classification of American Indian languages, Joseph Greenberg places the Algic family within a family which he calls Omāēqnomenew. The classification was first proposed by Edward Sapir in 1929. It groups Algic with other language families including Kootenai, otherwise thought to be an isolate, and Mosin, which includes Wakashan, Kaimakuan, and Salashan. The Mosin family proposal is currently considered to be unfounded.